Study won't get him to level 2.
Can we just put him on the wall and have him shoot? Yeah, let's put him on the wall and have him shoot any stray like monsters coming around the borders for a week.
I'm gonna need a better idea than that.
You're gonna need a better idea than that.
No.
This is why I said you should have taken him on the hunt to find that guy. That's an adventure.
Partner up with Fred. They can take Weldon. Have them have a little adventure.
The 2 ways you can level up your little NPC hireling guys, you can send them out to adventure, or someone of the same class can train them. You guys don't have a wizard. That's the problem. So you could arrange for them to go out and, I don't know, like, hey, we were just in the Underdark. Why don't you go poke around and see if you find anything we didn't, kind of thing.
How much does it cost to attend the School of Senses?
More than you have.
Okay.
It's very expensive.
I imagine sending them off on an adventure. The risk of death is fairly high.
Also, Orphan has strong opinions about not sending him to the School of Senses at this point.
Also, the villain needs the souls from these particular people to...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Eldove is trying to train Cube. He's like, okay, Cube, find the magic welling up within your body.
Is Eldove actually doing that? Serious question.
You know what? He probably would spend a day before finding out it was useless, trying to teach Cube.
It's not useless. You go down to try to teach Cube. We're going to say this happened during the downtime, because this is actually something that could be interesting. You go down to kind of explain to Cube the source of your magic and to find out if he's got these latent abilities as well. Like we need you to be able to cast Arcane Lock. Just tap deep within yourself. What you find is that Cube, and he explains it, that the formula that he reads out of these books, he understands them on a much deeper level than a typical wizard would. Like, he looks through the magic energy being manipulated and directly to the math involved. And so you notice that he's able to cast spells without whatever the in-universe explanation is for expending a spell slot. Just first-level spells. That's all he's got right now. But it surprises Eldove, because Eldove has never seen a source of magic that was that innate and that, that didn't come directly from study before, except for himself. And the other sorcerer
Eldove hugs Cube and cries out, "My son!"
Now, so, roll me an intelligence check. Straight intelligence check. Your DC is 20.
Okay.
You guys were training a robot wizard.
No, I love this.
Just so you guys know, I have a terrible intelligence roll.
Ooh. Wow, that might do it, though.
I pass. That's a 21.
You have Cube explain it to you in the smallest words he can possibly muster, and what you glean is that Cube has a way, and you're assuming it's given his nature as a creature from a mechanical place, because his brain is so alien to yours. He sees the mathematics of magic and is able to understand it in a level that wizards can't. And you think that with proper wizard training, Cube would be able to wield his magic as though he were a sorcerer. In other words, he has that latent potential. You recognize it. It doesn't come from dragon's blood. It comes from something entirely different.
So he's a fucking sorcerer nerd. Got it. Elder's not as excited as he was, but this is still pretty cool.
I mean, in game mechanics, it would be like if there was like a third sorcerer's origin called math. That's what he can do.
A math wizard. I love it.
In Final Fantasy mechanics, he's one of that. He's like the broken mathematician. Yeah,
he's a calculator.
What's holding him back is his knowledge of wizard magic. He hasn't. He's only level 1. That's what's holding him back right now.
So if he gains levels, he can use magic like crazy? Is that what you're basically saying?
No, you're not sure. I mean, he explained it to Eldove, and Eldove barely understood it. And when Eldove explained it to you, it was beyond your grasp. Eldove only got to make the roll because he's a sorcerer.
It's like he's in pre-calc right now. Next year, he'll be in Calc 1. And then that'll all make sense to him, and then advanced calc. And...
Yeah. I have no problem giving him this magic missile wand if it's something that we think would actually be good for him.
Okay. As far as leveling,
it's not going to do you any good ever.
Sending the guys out on an adventure, if Cube had the resources, he would like to mount an expedition back to the tower he came from to collect some of the magic components and things from there. So if you send him and the Acolyte and one of the Rangers and one of the Fighters out, they would probably make it back alive.
Would Fred go?
He would if you asked him.
Did Fred go to the Wizard Tower with us?
He did.
Yeah, he was there.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, yeah, he was
okay.
there.
He rode the
So he
floating
knows-
disc for a while, as I recall.
Yeah.
Would probably be helpful for him.
I'm all about Cube spreading his wings and having fun. You know what? Cube, have my Wand of Magic missile. And I
We
explained to him...
can't. Yeah.
I explained to him the mechanics, so hopefully he won't have it explode in his face.
Okay. So, do you send them out to gain a level?
We can't keep Cube locked in a box all his life. He's already in one box.
Oh, I guess if they're going with Fred, it might be okay.
Okay, so you send them out with Fred. Fred's not happy about babysitting. He doesn't think there's going to be anything new he can learn. He's already been to this tower. He's got the story. He wrote the songs. But at the request of his captain, he will do it.
He can write songs about the adventurous Cube and his cleric companion and some rangers and a fighter.
Okay.
It's fine.
So you guys can send Fred out, but what this means is you do not have Fred for Eudach's village.
That's fine.
So what is the plan with Eudach's village?
Oh, yeah.
I would like to send a sending to Kephas and ask if it would be possible for us to get an audience with him.
He says yes,
Am I-
as long as you show up on his borders waving a white flag high and clear.
Fair enough.
He wants to see
Yeah, we can
no
do that.
weapons, no expenditure of magic inside his borders. He wants... And he does not want anybody to come that was not on the original expedition in the desert. He doesn't want anybody coming that his scouts don't already know.
That's gonna be hard for Arik.
No, Arik went.
Yeah, Arik was there.
Mm-hmm.
Was he?
Yes,
We
he was.
haven't gained we haven't gained anyone since, and we couldn't bring
Okay.
we couldn't have brought Cube.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Cube's off on an adventure. It's alright.
We can bring our old guy. Oh wait, he hung himself.
Yeah.
He stayed there.
I guess my memory of the timeline must be wrong. Okay.
Yeah, because Arik went there and actually preached to
Yep.
some of the people
Oh,
at the
that's
village.
right. That's right. I remember that now. Okay. Yeah.
He told grand stories of the ocean. So yeah, Kephas is willing to grant you an audience as long as you show up on his borders friendly.
Okay.
I'll do one more sending to make sure if it. Do we need to peace bond our weapons or actually leave them behind? I'm just a little uneasy about leaving them. I don't have any intention of violence.
Describe peace bonding to me.
Tie a leather strap over it so it can't be drawn quickly.
He says he will send scouts to meet you and you'll turn your weapons over to them. He says that includes holy symbols, spell pouches, spell focuses.
Orphan just shrugs.
I'm not giving him my holy symbol.
Eldove's not entirely down with giving him the ring of his ancestors either.
I will gladly pack it away and I will not bring it, but I am not giving him my holy symbol.
Yeah, I'll not bring it. I'm not
That's
going to
fine.
give it to him.
Okay. So where do you guys leave these objects that you're not going to hand over to the giants?
We'll create a demi-plane.
Of course we will.
So Tarin's new solution to everything.
How long until Tarin makes this demi-plane a library? How long?
It's going to be another couple months of research before he's really got this demi-plane worked to the point where he can go into it from anywhere and go anywhere from it.
Is this demi-plane stable? Like,
It's
I'm not.
permanent. It's
Alright.
just that we won't be able to access it again for another 8 hours at least. I mean, we just find a large rock that I can use as a service to create it on. Then we'll wait out the full hour, and shortly before it's going to end, we'll drop the stuff in it.
So Orphan has arranged transportation for you all. She's purchased a sand sledge and 2 giant lizards to pull it, leaving out of Kiska. And they pull you into the area. You have some skirmishes with marauders and gnolls. Most of them end when they see that you're too big of a fish for them to bite. They don't press the issue. They escape with their lives. Some of the gnolls fight to the death, but they're fucking gnolls. Who cares? And you travel to the point where you encountered the hill giants the first time, where they were rolling boulders across the desert. And there are indeed 3 hill giants waiting there. And they see your sledge coming across the sand. And they immediately grab for their weapons.
Before we got into the area, I was going to open up the demi-plane and throw our stuff into it.
No, I'm assuming that happened.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I'll use prestidigitation. I'm sorry, I'll use minor illusion to create the image of a giant white flag.
Okay.
5 feet in each dimension.
They are still clutching their weapons, and they begin walking towards the area where the sledge will intercept them.
I'll just wait. I mean, unless anyone else has a better idea.
Nope.
Duke will use his minor illusion to call out. We come at the behest of what was the dude's name?
Kephas.
We come at the behest of Kephas. We not to fight, but to talk.
And you say this in what language?
Well, they spoke common before, so right? Did
Couple
they
of
speak
them.
common?
One
Couple
or
of
two of them.
spoke common.
Yeah.
What do they normally speak?
Giant.
Orphan can translate for you. She speaks every language.
Yeah.
So just tell her what you wanted to say, and she'll repeat it for you.
Okay. I can't minor illusion that, but you can shout that out. Just basically, we came at the behest of Kephas.
Okay. Yeah. She'll shout out at the giants that we're here to see Kephas. We were invited.
Wait, you have an ability to shout really loudly, right?
Yeah, I can do that thaumaturgically.
Oh, yeah. We can all do something like
They
that.
don't put down their weapons. They wait for you to approach. You shout out that you're there at the behest of their master. And they don't make any move to attack the sledge. And they don't say anything when you approach. You can tell that they don't like you at all. So, does anybody have any weapons that they need to turn over, or did they put everything back in the demiplane?
Tarin will peace bond his pact blade.
Did we put the sledge in the demiplane?
No, you're right.
No,
the
it's
sledge.
only...
No, we're riding.
The door probably isn't big enough, but yeah, I'll peace bond my pact blade as a sign of... Because I can't really just get rid of it.
Okay.
So,
You can dismiss it.
Yes, and then I can call it right back. It's not really getting rid of it.
they don't know that, though. So
Yeah,
just
but they don't know
dismiss
that. It's like it's good to do that. So just
Yeah, I know. Again, this is a legitimate
They don't
sign
know
of
that peace
goodwill.
bonding is worthless either. Like, he could just dismiss it, even though it's peace bonded, and then call it
Yeah.
right back. Like,
it.
So,
Anywho,
the question is, does anybody
no,
have a
I-
weapon other than Tarin? And Tarin is peace
Okay.
bonding his.
Duke
do
would
not have
no,
a
Eldove is a
weapon.
weapon.
Okay.
Zook would have stashed his +1 rapier and his +1 short bow and arrows, and then as a show of that they're turning over weapons, he would have handed over just his plain daggers here. Everything else he put in the plane.
Okay. The giants don't say anything. They just accept whatever weapons you're going to turn over to them, and they start marching off in the direction of what you hope to be the keep. Do you follow them in the sledge, or do you get out and
Yeah.
walk? Or okay.
Yeah, there's
Why
no
would
weapon
we
in the
walk?
sledge at this
There's no
point.
there's nowhere to tie the sledge into.
No, you're in the middle of the desert. There's nothing out here.
I paid a lot of good money for this sledge.
Yeah, can't we just ride it? Yeah.
I wouldn't
Whole
ask
point
the
is we're
giants
riding
to
it.
pull it for you, but
No.
Yeah.
I figure our lizards need water by now.
as you're following these giants, you notice a lot of the curious boulders that you encountered last year. Huge boulders. Some of them are just weird protrusions coming out of the desert. They have a folded quality to them. Like somebody took a lump of clay and spread it out and then folded it and then rolled it into a ball. These boulders are huge. They're most of them about 9 feet in diameter. You don't see any that are much larger or much smaller than that. Eventually, you get close enough that you can see the pool of fog off in the distance, shimmering in the light. It becomes a tangible destination rather than just a vague shape that you've seen it from a distance. The fog, as you approach further and further to the keep, it spirals into the air about 50 feet. And you see it's forming a wall around this keep. And inside this fog structure is an enormous stone wall encircling our gargantuan keep. When you get even closer and you can look through the fog and see the shapes on the other side, you see that inside the perimeter of the fog wall is lush green grass rather than sand. And inside a second set of stone walls, you see a huge metal dome sitting on top of a tower that reaches high up into the sky. When I say this is a giant structure, I mean it is a giant structure. It is a structure built to house giants. And let me load that up for you now.
Are we in Giant World?
You are, well, you're in the desert, but for all intents and purposes, after you pass through the fog wall, you are in Giant World.
Wait, is it Big Small World?
Yeah, it's after the desert.
Oh,
Okay, that
Mario
makes
3
sense.
reference. I got it. Okay, I see where you guys are going for. This is Kefos's Keep. So, the ditch you see around the keep is roiling with fog that disperses into the air some 50 feet or so. The drawbridge is lowered, and you all cross into the first walls, the first perimeter walls. The second perimeter walls are inside of that, and then you've got this gigantic red metal dome that looms high over you. In human terms, this would be maybe an 8 or 9 story structure. You're not sure how many stories are actually inside because none of you have been in a giant castle before.
My tokens didn't load at all. I just got little white squares. That's weird. I'm gonna try
These two structures here, along the northern wall of the keep, these are kennels, giant kennels. This is where you see livestock being kept, camels, dogs. There's a barn full of grain, a giant-sized barn full of more grain than any of you ever seen in your life. This structure here is not a building. It's just a large, kind of outdoors wooden structure built up to cover a huge spiral staircase leading down underground, dug into the solid rock. Likewise, this structure here is not a building. It's just a wooden structure set into the wall, and then inside of the wall you see glowing magic runes written in giant. Incantations that don't mean anything, not even to Orphan, who understands all languages. But they are glowing fiercely with magic. You can tell the script is written in giant, but it just looks like nonsense words. And they lead you inside
remember it.
They lead you inside to the center structure here, into the keep. A lot of hill giants milling around, watching you very skeptically. You go into the keep, and who's waiting for you inside is a particularly large and particularly ugly hill giant. And she begins speaking to you in giant. Orphan.
Mm-hmm.
She introduces herself as Gurgrog.
Okay.
And she says she maintains the master's house. And that for some reason, she does not want any of the giants to kill you while you're in the walls.
That's nice.
She doesn't know why. She wants to kill you right now. But she has orders from the master for you to await in his library.
I'll relay this to all the others, and I'll ask her where is the library.
And she shows you the way back into the keep. You see a library. The books are giant-sized. None of you could lift one of these books. You see floor-to-ceiling shelves filled with such books. And you see tables, chairs, furniture, all giant-sized. Underneath the table is a second table for you guys. It's furnished with fresh fruits, a decanter of water, and some bread. And you're told to wait, and you're told if you leave this place, she might still kill you anyway.
I'll snack on one of the fruits.
Okay.
Yeah, turn off some water.
Nowhere near
yeah,
as good as the jam you had in Gnome Town.
No.
Does anybody pull anything inside this library?
Pull anything like fishy? No.
She said we're not to leave the library, or we're not to leave this table.
She said you're not to leave the library. She says the master has asked to meet you in the library, and if you leave, she might just kill you. She says the master won't. She says the master won't mind too much if she kills you.
Can
Look
we
around
get
the
up and
library.
can we get up and look around the library?
You can if you
Yeah.
can if you can levitate or fly. It would be you can traverse this library. I mean, you're talking floor to ceiling shelves, and the books can't be pulled.
Oh, the books can't be okay.
I mean, the only thing preventing you from pulling a book off a shelf and putting it onto a lectern and reading it is the books are taller than you are.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically it.
Could telekinesis pick one up?
It's a good question. How much could telekinesis lift?
1,000
1,000
pounds.
pounds.
Yeah, telekinesis could probably pull most of
Here's
the
the
books.
thing, we
Maybe-
already promised this guy not to cast any magic.
Yeah.
Let's not do it
I was
on
gonna
the
say.
fucking
Yeah.
books.
Damn, I was hoping
Let's not
you
blow
could-
that one on this,
let's-
Zook.
Let's not get ourselves killed over
Sorry,
big
sorry,
books we
sorry.
can't probably read.
Probably in Giants.
Orphan can still explore the library, though, I believe, because
You could
she
read
doesn't have
spines.
she doesn't have to use magic to just run up the walls.
Okay. And what Orphan finds are books in every conceivable language, every language she's ever heard of, and twice as many that she's never seen. There are books on.
Still understands.
First of all, there seems to be no organization to this library. Obviously, there's not a Modron keeping everything in order.
Also, wait, Rick. Just before you start describing stuff, remember that Tongue of the Sun and Move only applies to spoken languages. So Orphan can't read anything she sees, or she can read something, but she can't read everything.
Well, the reason I said it that way is because most of the languages are confined to just several different scripts. So there's a lot of books where you recognize the script being used, but you don't know what it's saying.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Seems unusual to me that a Giants would have a giant-ass library like this. I thought they were fairly uncivilized.
Did Zook thought that?
No, McClain, the newbie player, thought this.
Zook doesn't know anything about giants.
Zook doesn't know anything about Giants. Okay.
I'm going to say, unless you guys have a really good backstory reason, none of you know anything about giants other than the skirmish you had in the previous.
Sure.
The reason I'm going for that particular angle is because it didn't come up last time.
Fair enough.
Kefas keeps you waiting for more than a day.
Wow.
The morning of the
tiny.
second day, Gurgrog comes into the room with a very tiny platter of food, and she stoops down and places it under the table.
How's the food?
Passable.
Impressive they're
It's
feeding
salted.
us.
No. I mean, you don't salt the fruit anyway, but... I mean, he's serving fruit, bread, and water. That's what you're getting.
Okay.
And I mean, the bread is just... it's very clearly a chunk torn off of a much larger piece of bread.
What kind of fruit is it? Is it from, like, did we pass any groves in their keep?
No. And actually, a lot of the fruit does not look indigenous to the desert.
Is it a giant-sized fruit?
No.
Where is this? And this is probably unimportant, but where is this fruit even coming from?
You have no idea. I mean, this is the kind of fruit you could buy in like market stalls in Kiska. A lot of this fruit, though, stuff that they would have to get from colder climates or more lush climates, would be sold dried because it wouldn't be fresh, obviously.
Okay.
So he has some means of getting fresh food that the merchants in Kiska don't.
That's actually interesting to me.
Do you want Orphan to ask Gurgos?
She can.
We could just get Destil ascending to him.
Yeah, well, I mean, we can just wait. We can
Okay.
wait for Kefas and think of his hospitality and see if we can weasel it out that way.
Not gonna wait much longer before I just teleport us out of here.
The evening of the second day. And you all were not provided with quarters. You were just left to your own devices inside the library. The evening of the second day, Kefas enters the room. Kefas is unimaginably huge. You have never seen a creature this big with a humanoid shape in your life. In fact, you probably have never seen a creature this big before. Kefas, if he's anything, he would be 30 feet tall. First glance. He has very gray skin, mottled with darker gray splotches all up his arms and on his face. He has no facial hair, no hair on his head, and what he's wearing just looks to be a very plain and simple green robe. He doesn't have any adornments as far as jewelry. He's not walking and carrying a weapon. He is barefoot. He has a hole going in the side of one of his nose, or in the side of one of his nostrils, that looks like he might have worn a piercing there at one time, but he's not wearing it now. He walks into the library, walks past the table underneath which you all are sitting, and sits down in a huge chair that has a lectern in front of it. And he sits down and he gazes at you all underneath the table where you're at. He towers over these hill giants. He's twice their heights.
Wow.
And he looks at all of you. This is very well. Which of you is Captain Tarin?
Tarin will step forward and raise his hand.
Kefos nods. And perhaps the rest of you should make introductions.
Zook will wave and say, my name is Zook.
Orphan bows and said, I'm called Orphan.
Arik crosses his arms, gives a slight head nod, and goes, Arik. In a very sort of motion.
Eldove of House Fireblood.
Many moons ago, more than a year now by my reckoning, you all had in your possession an item of significant value to me, and when asked to return it, you didn't. And he starts looking back and forth between all of you, waiting for someone to answer for this.
We never intended not to return it. We simply didn't realize it was quite so important to return it as quickly as you needed it. My apologies for that.
And he looks at the rest of you. Is there anything else to add?
We were traveling down a river at the time, and the designated returning place was farther than we could reach in the time given.
Says, yes, you were traveling to the Eudach plantation. If my memory serves, you forced my hand, made me send a team of giants after them to retrieve what was taken. He says, you killed one of them, as I recall. Very impressive. He says, so, I asked you, Tarin, a year ago how you found the Eudach's hospitality. So how did you find it, now that we can have a conversation rather than a sentence at a time over magic?
Lacking.
Yeah. Feel free to develop the idea. We have more than 25 words now.
The Eudachs are bullies, absolutely in the complete and total mastery of their tiny little realm. They're some of the worst people I've ever met, honestly.
Slavers.
That aren't, yes, that aren't, hostile enough that I just had to kill them outright for it. Like, I've, obviously dealt with marauding orcs and whatnot, but in terms of someone claiming to be civilized, that's some of the worst I've ever seen.
He says, these hill giants are my slaves. Does that make me uncivilized?
You seem to treat your hill giants fairly well. I don't see anyone here being worked to death.
He says, you killed one of them and I did nothing. I think of them as lower than my cattle. I prize my beef more than my hill giants. And you will too after you taste it. He says, I didn't think much of you, any of you, and by any of you I mean any of your kind. The small races, I don't have any particular... I don't bear you any ill will. You may scrabble along the surface of this world that we share for as long as your short lives allow. But you piqued my interest. This is about a month ago. I received a visitor. A type of visitor that I have not seen since time immemorial. His Ifrits came to visit me, a fire genie. Their kind lives far deep in Ramneus, farther than any mortal can. They don't travel this far out, it's too cold for them. This one told me a story of being bound by a wizard who had learned his true name. Bound into servitude for a period of 100 years to guard a ladder. He and his brother both He told me the story of a group of people who walked into this room that they had been charged to guard. One of them was a powerful wielder of magic that sent his brother away deep into the ethereal plane. And after this vicious murder of his kin, this user of magic turned around and freed him from bondage. It sounds to me like this story is talking about two different wizards, who would slay with one hand and free with the other. What sort of man am I dealing with?
I mean, at the time, his brother, my first action was to attempt to get them to both stand down peacefully, and after I was unfortunately forced to dismiss his brother to the ethereal realm, he saw reason. He thought, much like the Eudachs, that he could just overpower us, and he might not have been wrong, but...
I think you misunderstand the question. What I was asking was, if you could so effortlessly kill one of these creatures, one of these magical races, a genie from beyond the boundaries of mortal realms in Rhamneus, why not simply kill the other? Why not kill both?
I have no need for bloodshed, unnecessarily.
Because I don't know what to make of you and your lot. One minute you're thieves, the next minute you're liberators, one minute you're a murderer, the next minute you're asking me for an audience. Please, speak freely, any of you.
Zook will speak up and say, if I may, our goals are generally for common good, and though we may stumble sometimes along the way, we are not out to simply kill anything that gets in our way.
So many of your people are. That's why I find you intriguing. If you were simply a band of marauders looking to amass a pile of gold, you would be beneath my notice. So what is it that what you're seeking? You said the common good. Tell me about the common good.
And often we'll say we came to find out what was going on now on the Eudach's farm. We've heard something has gone terribly wrong there. The people are either dead or imprisoned. Do you know anything about this?
So I know quite a bit about the Eudachs, but they are the kind of people who are beneath my notice. They are the kind of people who only seek to build a mountain of gold. So what is it you wish to know about the Eudachs?
The state of their plantation. What's happening there now?
It's my understanding that the Eudachs are no longer in control of their plantation. They hired a mercenary group, which took the village over. They are now prisoners within their own walls.
Who are these? What can you tell us about these mercenaries?
They're called the Silver Eye, and the less business you small races have with the Silver Eye, the better it will go for you.
They're not human, then.
They're human, but outside of the walls of Kiska and the other kingdoms of the small races, men drink blood in this desert. You have what you have because you can seize it and hold it, and you have it for only as long as you can hold it. They're men, but they're not civilized men. They're the kind of men that, when offered a ridiculous amount of gold to guard a farming plantation, would think to themselves, why not simply take the gold and the plantation?
That's what they did?
That's the rumor, anyway.
They're not civilized, but are they powerful?
Oh, quite. They wield magic. And they wield it very skillfully.
That's what happens when you go hiring a mercenary company named the Silver Eye.
Kivas just smiles. Says, so, my friend, what would you name your mercenary company?
Golden Eye.
Wow.
Eldove, you're my hero.
Hey, like I said, it's a good name for a mercenary company that uses magic.
So, with a very small expenditure of effort on my part, I could dry up the Eudach's plantation, chase their family to the ends of the earth, rout the Silver Eye, etc., etc., etc. Is that what you're here to ask me to do?
No, we just wanted any information from one of their neighbors.
I'm curious when you said that you could dry up the village.
I can.
How can you do that? I was very curious about their water source, and they were very evasive about it.
I am the source of their water, and they don't know that.
Orphan says, I think that they might have. They, when we were here a year ago, they asked us to come and do something about you, and I didn't understand why at the time.
And he laughs with a laugh that shakes the room. And what, pray tell, could you do about me?
Orphan says, nothing. That's why we left.
We didn't know. That's why we came to blows with the Eudachs the first time.
To be honest, it sounds now like it was probably a suicide mission to get us out of their hair.
That's what it sounds like to me, too. So what is it you did to earn the Eudach's ire?
Spent a banana.
Gave away some of their sheep to appease your raiders. I think more to the point, they were either insane or simply advantageous and thought that you and us were in some sort of alliance, but...
The Eudachs were paranoid, clearly. You did the right thing. If you had not paid off my giants, gave them what I told them they would be receiving, and then some for their time and expenditure, they very probably would have raided the entire village, razed it to the ground, killed everybody within. Their actions saved many lives that day.
Well, and despite what we think about the Eudachs, we actually do feel like there are good people in that town. That's what we're trying to hopefully salvage.
I want to know, and he's addressing all of you when he says this, not just Tarin or Zook. I'm beginning to think that you are extraordinary people. Examples of the small races that don't manifest very often, and when they do, they usually manifest in the manner that the Silver Eye has. Once mortals gain enough power, they seek to use it to control other mortals, but you haven't done that.
Orphan says, no, we haven't, and she looks sidelong at Tarin.
He says, I want to know, in the plainest language possible, what can you do for me? What can you offer me?
I suppose that would depend on what your goals were.
Yeah.
What your aims were.
He says, let's dispense with the notion that you can help me with my aims at all. They're too far above you. But I do have an interest in the smaller races. It's a very big desert, and I am but a very small part of it. He says, I need to know that you all are not my enemies. I need to know that I don't have to divert resources to dealing with you. So as a show of good faith on your part, without expecting anything in return, I think it is reasonable that I ask, what can you show me? What can you give me, let's call it, tribute to one of your betters?
What would even be of interest to someone of your stature?
Really big chair. That's not in character, Brick.
What, the really big chair?
Yeah.
I imagine Eldove is just in a corner fuming and she'll be like, you're not better than me. It's bullshit. It's total bullshit. You're not better than me.
I can give you an invitation to go fuck yourself.
Do we have a mutual interest in like do you wish these the Silver Eye out of your desert? Says Zook.
He says, I was very old when the Silver Eye formed, and I will still be very young when they are gone. The Silver Eye don't mean anything to me.
Okay.
If they approached my borders, it would be a swift death for them all.
So you're not asking us to do something along the lines of eradicating them or anything at this point.
He says, my friend, perhaps the smaller your eyes are, the more difficult it is to understand, but I've been here for a long time. I predate the Eudachs, I predate their river, I predate the walls of Kiska.
So I'll ask again,
Go
ahead. Go ahead, Eldove.
In my experience, when someone asks us what we can do for them, they have something in mind.
And that's the conundrum that I'm in, because I cannot possibly think of anything you could offer me. The reason I'm asking you is because I'm on the fence trying to determine whether you all are exceptional people, exceptional specimens of the small races, or not. If you are, perhaps you can surprise me.
Well, this seems like as good a time as any for me to figure out exactly what Orphan's curious object is. Just go ahead and give it to him. Just give me a couple minutes to figure out what it is.
Wait, the curious object?
Yeah.
It's really
Curious
good
object
jam.
even was.
The best jam.
So what is this object then?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Okay.
When did you get this? I don't even remember when you got the curious
I bought
object.
it at... There was some shopping opportunity. I think it might have been way back in Kiska even.
Yes.
When
No,
Rick
it
said
was-
you can all purchase a mysterious object or a strange thing that will... And we'll say what it is later.
And I gave
Like
Arik
your
that
tarot.
same. I gave Arik the same deal when he brought all the fish back to Gnome Town.
Yeah, I have
Yeah,
an
that
interesting
turned into
object from
seeds.
Gnome Town also, actually.
Arik sort of leans into Tarin and says, "Tell him you're from the other plane or whatever."
Kifos responds, "I can hear you."
Well, all right.
That's good
So I can
hearing.
hear it.
Damn. They are big ears.
Says, what does he mean? You're from another plane?
We're from another. Some of us are from another state of being, another point of existence, sort of like the ethereal plane, although not as terrible and not contiguous with the material.
Says, I'm familiar with the ethereal plane.
Imagine another material plane completely isolated from this one, with its own ethereal plane.
He says, I am familiar with the infinite worlds of the prime material plane.
Excellent.
Thank God. No onions this time.
Oh, we should
Very
just
few
give Tarin to
creatures
him.
very few creatures in Romneus are.
He says, and that's true. Very few of them are. I'm one of the few that remember those times when all of Trennis was connected to the other worlds.
Oh, this is new. I don't believe we've met anyone yet who actually. I don't know that we've been heard of that actor being a thing that existed in this world.
Was he around when the necromancer? What was the story we heard from the Flumphs? That there was like Flumph champions or something foolish.
Yeah, well, it was against Illithids.
I'm going to do Zook's question first. What was Zook's question?
No, this was... Zook was just marveling. He was saying that he didn't know that there ever was a time that Trennis was connected to the other primaterial worlds.
And he asks, who have you spoken to who's not a member of the small races? What creatures have you met who can match my knowledge, experience, and might?
And Zook will say, I must confess, this is the first time I've had the honor of speaking to someone of your knowledge and might.
He says, yes, it is an honor, isn't it?
Yes. Zook is being very complimentary.
And Eldove, what was your question?
Was this guy around? Because he said he was around when the planes were open. Was he around back during the time of what was the exact story with the Flumph that the Flumphs told us? The last time some asshole was trying to do something crazy with the planes.
I'm trying to remember the details now. I have it written down in one of my many note files. You're not sure when that happened. That would have happened an incredibly long time ago. And you're not even sure it happened here on this world.
Oh, okay.
Do you ask him about the Flumphs? Or anything particular?
Well,
Reword that as
I mean-
how Eldove would be addressing Kifos.
the way that Eldove would address it, and I'm not going to say this word for word because I'm trying to think of it as I say it.
Gotcha.
But he would go into how he had heard this story about the last time some terrible event happened with the planes, and that one thing we're trying to work on that might both prove our worth to him and also be something that he could help us with is hunting down this necromancer who is attempting to create the same sort of problem again. And that's why the planes are currently shut off.
Kifas says, I've heard many stories from many mythologies and religions that explain why Trennis is not connected anymore. He says the old witch kings of Romneus had it a different way, as did the genies from beyond the Wall of Fire, as did the old Illithid kings of the Underdark, as did the elves of the forests. As you understand what I'm saying. Everybody has their own interpretation of what happened. Because all I know for certain is that it happened. One day, if you knew where to look, and you had the right key, shimmering doors to any world could be opened. And the next day, there were no more doors. So I have something that might be of interest to you all. And he stands, and he walks over to a shelf upon which are stacked many scrolls, and he takes one of them out. And he unrolls it, and you see it's not a scroll, it's a tapestry. He's unrolling a giant wall tapestry. And he lays it out on the floor, and it is the same one that you saw at Zrazak.
Okay.
With the three. And he says, in my journeys very recently, it could have been yesterday or 50 years ago, who could say? He says, I was doing business with one of my associates in the mountains of Tetlateus, and I came across a man from another plane, the first I had met in a long time, and I purchased this from him. This is one of the only things that I have that have come from another world. And he starts scanning you all for a response. So Eldove's not impressed.
Orphan's eyes probably would have widened when she saw it.
I was going to say, Orphan would probably have the biggest reaction to this.
Yeah.
I don't think Zook spent a lot of time looking at that mural or whatever.
So only some of you hail from these other planes. Only a few of you, correct?
Yes.
Correct in
Yeah.
assuming the good captain is the first?
Tarin will bow and nod.
And Zook will speak up and say, I am also from another plane.
Did Orphan respond as well?
Yeah, she nods. She's still looking at the tapestry.
Says that I am interested in the story of how you all came here.
Okay.
Oh, we've told it quite a few times at this point, so it should be old hat.
Do you need Gurgrog to fetch a giant onion?
No,
because he
beyond onion.
So what, do you leave any details out? Is there anything you don't tell about how you arrived on the ship?
I'll leave out the part where the emerald gets thrown overboard.
But you tell him you have the compass and emerald that can tune into other planes? He asks to see these items so that he may examine them.
I'll shrug, pull them out of my coin pouch.
Oh, you have them?
Yeah, I've been carrying them the whole time.
Oh, okay. I've been assuming that they were just on board the ship.
No, God no. These are like the two most important items Tarin has.
And Kifas stoops down and opens his unimaginably enormous hand. And you
I'll
give
place them in it.
How large is
unimaginably
Kifas' hand?
enormous?
Yeah, compared to us.
He's
like
pushing 30
times
feet
the size.
tall, so you all could probably climb up onto his hand if you wanted. But he takes some strides across the room, and you see him get out a magnifying glass and examining these items. You see him cast some incantations that Tarin recognizes as detect magic. And after a couple minutes, he turns back and says, "These are incomplete." He says the magic in these things won't function in their current state.
That's pretty much why we're still here.
I'm not sure that they would function in this world at any rate, but yes, the third piece was thrown overboard.
Where?
Somewhere off the Isles of Brax. We didn't have a star chart at the time. We weren't from this world.
So I would like you to sell me these items.
Tarin's eyebrows will kind of raise.
He says, what is a fair price?
Huh.
I mean, as far as I know, those are priceless in this world.
As far as you know, they'd be priceless in any world.
Indeed.
And they're incomplete.
If I may, part of what we've been doing in this world is trying to figure out a way to complete those so that we could possibly reopen the doorways between worlds or figure out a way to get ourselves home.
And why are you confident that when every other method of traversing the plains has failed you, that this will work?
Honestly, I'm not. The more I've learned about this plane, the less I believe that it actually is going to function.
Yeah, we know that they got us here, but we don't know if they can get us back or not when they're complete.
So let's work on the assumption that there is no way back. Go ahead.
Might I ask then why you're so interested in them?
This is a passing curiosity. Says I collect magical devices, the likes of which kings would pay treasuries for and go to war for. I've never seen anything quite like this.
Can we roll Yeah.
Definitely want to insight check that.
Yeah, I was about to ask, like, can we discern whether or not he's lying with the roll?
I'll let one person make an insight check.
Oh, that's gonna be that person.
Can it be this 20 that I just rolled?
Well, I haven't asked anybody to roll yet.
Damn it. I shouldn't have rolled that.
I'll let you make the insight check as long as you're telling me what you're trying to figure out. What are you trying to get from him? Are you trying to figure out if he's lying to you? Or are you trying to figure out...
I'm trying to figure... I figure lying to us.
Lying to you? Okay. I'll let one person in the group make this insight check for the group. But because all of you are making the same kind of deductions, I'll let that roll happen at advantage.
I've got +7 insight, plus I have reliable talent. Can anyone else do better than that?
I have
You're a
+8
skill
insight.
guy,
Yeah, I don't think anybody will beat the rogue in skills. No.
Yeah.
Alright. I'll roll that with advantage. I want my 20 back. Okay, so that's 19's pretty good. That'll become a 26.
And he's not lying. He's told you he has magic items the likes of which the small races would go to war for, and he definitely meant it. What you glean from what he said is that offering to buy this item from you is not something he does idly. Yeah, there's definitely something more to why he's asking you.
I'll look at Tarin and then said, well, we are trying to fund the castle.
Do we want material wealth, or is this more...
Could he trade us something for it?
Is this a conversation you all are having in his library?
Yeah? I don't...
yeah.
At that point, he interrupts. He says, please, I understand. It's a big decision. And he walks back over, and he stoops real low and holds his hand open, and the compass and the emerald are still there. He says, take as much time as you need to discuss it amongst yourselves. You are guests in my house. He says, I will have Gurgrog show you to proper quarters. Inasmuch as a giant can hand a human anything, he hands the items back to Tarin, and he stands back up. Says, I will give you 2 words of caution while you are inside of my walls. He says, absolutely no magic. He says, you enter the pits where the hill giants stay at your own peril.
I'm planning on moving around this place.
And then he says, please, make yourselves at home for as long as you like. And he walks out of the room.
So anyways, Zook was going to say to Tarin, I have some experience in trading for favors. Do we want this something? Do we think that he has the wealth that we want, or do we want to actually Do we actually even want to trade this to him?
Yeah, that's the first. Like, if this is,
I don't think it's a great idea.
Yeah, if this is the only key to you guys going home, I don't think you should give it away.
I don't actually think it's going to get me home. Call me cynical.
I don't know what he wants to do with these things either.
I don't think that it. Yeah, Orphan said, I don't think that this is the only key. I don't know if there is a key.
Yeah, exactly. If there is a key,
well,
if we can
I'd be
trade
surprised.
this essentially useless item, because remember, it is incomplete. We have no way of getting that other emerald. Then if we can trade that for something we want, may as well do it.
And we traded with the caveat that if he figures out a way to open the doors, he lets us use it. Do you think that'd be something he'd be willing to do?
We can try asking, I suppose.
I may not use it.
Well, that's a fair point too. This may be home now.
I mean, for you, Zook, I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm just saying I'm getting somewhat accustomed to life in this world.
Gnomes in this world are kind of strange to me, but I could maybe eventually find myself comfortable here.
And I wasn't really looking forward to law school. I'll tell you that right now.
My one thing I would like to ask him, since he seems to have a lot of knowledge about people from other planes, is if he knows other creatures from other planes, because they may be the folks we need to make contact with when it comes to our necromancer friend.
Yeah, I mean...
And how open do we want to be with him about these long-term plans?
I mean, he seems completely beyond any of us, so... And also disinterested, which I like. I mean, he kind of mentioned the Witch Kings in passing, which I was planning at some point on seeing if he knew anything about them, but it sounds like they, as mortals, were also probably beyond him. Or he was beyond them, so...
He doesn't seem very disinterested in us now. Now that we got something that he wants.
We have the object that he's interested in, which, admittedly, in this world is somewhat unreal. In any world, those are somewhat unreal, in all honesty. Like the idea of a ship kidnapping people without portals between worlds. I could see it. I could see a planar ship that would travel between known portals and have just gone between worlds, but not without. That's bizarre.
Duke's just gonna kind of shrug at this point and say, he doesn't seem like he wants to do anything like dangerous with it that we can tell. I mean, if we can't get out of this world, and I've kind of resigned myself to that fact anyhow, we might as well unload this.
Orphan nods. I agree. There's a lot that we need, and he seems like he's willing to pay a lot for this.
I think the main thing is we leave the caveat that, you know, he maintain, you know, that we remain on friendly terms. So if he we can continue to discuss this. If we find out anything else that would help him, or if he finds out something that could help us in relation to this whole planar issue.
Well, this is for you guys to decide then. I'm from this world, Arik says with like air quotes. So this is no bearing to me. This will be your decision.
I'm honestly alright with giving him the items, though I'm curious what we get from them. Magic, or maybe just a fantastic amount of material wealth. Either one, honestly, at this point would be fine.
Yeah.
I guess I'll just be the sole person against it, but I'll go with what you people decide. I don't think it's a great idea.
Do you not trust
I
him?
don't see what he could give us that would be worth giving this away.
Tarin just sort of, like, obviously off the top of his head, 1,000,000 gold pieces, kind of shrugging and throwing his hands up as if it's impossible.
Well, if we should not put a monetary value on something that is priceless.
Well, that's not necessarily true. I put a monetary value on things that are priceless all the time.
Well, and Zook suggests that what he thinks would probably be to ask for would be some great monetary value and the open lines of communication, information, yada yada yada.
I doubt he'll be interested in having too much to do with us, but I think friendly terms.
Orphan nods. He's much greater than we are. I don't think there's any service we can perform or anything that would any reason he would have to keep the lines of conversation open with us.
I mean, I totally agree that if he finds a way to actually open a portal, and anyone who wants to go home, That I think is reasonable. Beyond that, I wouldn't be interested in any open-ended deals because I don't think he's going to accept it. And honestly, I'm a little scared of unleashing this guy on anyone.
Anyone? What about the Silver Eye?
I think we can handle it.
You don't want to ask it for his help against him?
That's why we came here.
I don't think the man with an army of hill giants cares much about it in the terms of collateral damage.
Yeah, I mean that's. I'm like I said, I don't want to unleash him on anyone. I don't want to give his giants. I also have to admit, like on some level, like kind of disgusts me treating other sentient beings, lowly as giants as they are, like less than cattle.
Before we talk too much about what disgusts us, let me point out that we're in the house of a magic wizard.
Yeah.
And there's no guarantee we're having this conversation in private.
Tarin will shrug. I mean, if he wanted to read my mind, he's reading my mind. Wait, no, he isn't.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So I don't know. Are we on board for selling this to him? Do we want to politely tell him no? I mean, Zook just shrugs. He says, "Holding treasure without getting something out of it is kind of useless to me, but that's just my nature."
I agree with you.
As valuable as it is, as priceless as it is, it's worth nothing to us.
This is a decision only you guys can make.
I mean, it has a tremendous amount of curiosity value to me, but I've had it this long and I haven't made anything out of it, so. I could probably spend the rest of my life studying it and not gain any more, so. At this point, I'd agree.
So we're having I'm sorry to call over you, but we're having real bad thunder here. So if I cut out, you know why.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's check out these quarters. Let's check out his beef. Let's see if it's worth a hill giant's life.
Orphan remembers that there's beef. Yes, let's do that.
So you guys are allowed on the first floor of the keep, which exhausts you to walk from one side to the other. It's that big. You're shown to the quarters. The quarters are made for giants, unfortunately, but they have smaller quarters. Like, they have the hill giant bed, and there's like a switchback stair that goes up the post of the bed, and there's a smaller bed for you. Very comfortable. All the accommodations are made in this keep, you notice, for anybody who could possibly be housed here. Like, Kefas probably does not get many visitors, but any visitors that he does have are made comfortable. What all do you do in the keep? I mean, you got... Let me give a rundown of what all you can find inside of the keep here. There's a kitchen and a storeroom. Nobody makes any particular motion to keep you out of either of these places, although if Gurgrog catches you here, she threatens to kill you.
Okay.
Do these appear as idle threats, like I'll kill you if you come in here, or is she really going to kill us?
You don't understand giant, so you have no idea. But they're coming from a hill giant who could... Actually, I'm going to be honest. There's almost no way this hill giant could kill any of you. Let's just putting the coins on the table.
Well,
you guys have kind of outgrown hill giants a little bit, or at least one hill giant at a time.
Yeah.
One-on-one, probably, and if you could take this hill giant.
Here's my other question: is after every single room in this keep, are you going to say, and if Gurgrog finds you here, she says, "I'm going to kill you"?
No,
what I was going to ask.
just the kitchens and the store. It's her job to keep Kefas' house, so she spends a lot of the day preparing meals in the kitchen and the storeroom. And I mean, the storeroom has like a cold storage area where he's got all of his meat hanging. And a gargantuan amount of food.